why am I suggesting you do reverse scripting before you write your own script? Oftentimes what happens is when people go to write a script, they write more than they should because they don't think that what I'm actually making is going to be visual. Like we want to overtell, right? And then we also don't think of when we are telling somebody something, we should be showing them more than telling them. So we don't think about what should be on screen. We basically just start making the script in reverse, right? So this is 58 seconds long. The audience for this was clients and customers of LC, actors. There's a VO, talent, male. It's actually Alex is his name. We'll let Alex be named. He'll appreciate that. He's not just voiceover talent to be named later. Okay, so when we go to reverse script, then we're going to look at
why use one, and how do you make one?
So we have this first part that he's saying.
What is a screencast? Why use one?
What is a screencast and why use one? So that would go there, but now let's go back and look at that last 2 seconds. What's happening visually here?
What is a screencast?
So we have a graphic package. So we labeled as a graphic that's coming in, and it looks like a logo burst.
Why use one?
So we have a graphic, which is a logo burst of LC logo. Since I made this, I already know what it is. So if you're doing this with some other video, just as a practice to sort of see if you can identify everything that's happening, I know that that thing that logo burst that happens in this first 2 seconds.
What is a screencast?
That's just something I downloaded and added my logo to.
Why use one?
We didn't custom make
and
that.
How do you make one?
Right? Like it literally pulled it down off of Envato, dropped the logo in, export, and now you've got a cool little thing as a logo bumper to brand your video coming in. Right. So then we go to the next part, like, okay, now we're looking at more copy, and I'm not going to document all the copy. I think you get like what's spoken and said. That doesn't need to be there, but visually now what just took place here. So we have a graphic, and then the next thing we see after the graphic package is done is we have a screenshot of a Camtasia background with text in the window, right? So that's happened. Now, one thing that also happened, I'm going to rewind so maybe you missed it, of what's happening when we go from here.
Why use one?
So we got a logo, and then it transitions into a zoom out, right? So we have this screenshot. So this is zoom out to a screenshot of Camtasia background. So it's important to think of this stuff ahead of time and to understand the language of filmmaking or the language of video making, so that when you are one that's going to be tasked with making everything happen, this has different effects upon the viewer when they're watching this. So the vibe that happens in this first 5 seconds.
What is a screencast?
Oh, you know what else is there? See, I missed it. There's upbeat music. So I'm engaging in the first 5 seconds. I've got upbeat music.
What is a screencast?
I got a sound effect, and I've got this like flashing lights, like pay attention to this logo. This is going to be interesting. So I'm grabbing everyone's attention right out of the gate. This is part of my hook, right? And then I'm asking a question. That's my hook. What's a screencast and why use one? All of those different techniques, you're going to be, you've seen them now, right? As somebody who has lived in our culture that is bombing your brains with these kind of visual images all the time. But now I'm asking you in this reverse scripting, when you're starting to think about your own script, break down what's being done by these videos. What are you seeing differently? Like usually when I have this conversation, people write their scripts and we start to talk about this, people are like, man, I never even realized that was happening. Like every sitcom I used to love watching, it's wide shot, medium shot, close up. I never even realized that was happening. It's just the grammar of film. When you go to write your own script, you're like, well, of course we need to have music. Well, but why do we need to have music? Sometimes in instructional videos, we shouldn't have music at all because it takes away from the meaning that's being spoken. And sometimes we need it to engage everybody because the topic is going to be fairly dry and boring for people who are not in love with it. So making those conscious choices as video creators, that's what this is all about. That's why this exercise of like taking that blank script template, go find some video that you think is cool. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's marketing or instructional, go find and just do like the first 5-10 seconds. But it's really helpful as an instructional device when you go to script writing, like, oh yeah, there's a lot happening in 10 seconds. If it's crafted this way, if it's a lecture video, it might just be a person flip on the screen and start talking, but you never know. I go back and watch it now with a creator's eye and say, did they bring music in? Did they use graphics to start? How did they hook me? You know, are they using any kind of camera movements? Like this is all done inside a computer. There's no camera involved in this, but there's a lot of different effects happening in terms of icons coming on, the background fading. Now we're zooming. There's a lot of different video effects that are being done to sort of keep you engaged in what's a screencast. And those are all purposeful, right? I worked with 2 different people to make this, and we talked about why that should be happening a certain way. You know, is it too distracting? Do we need to leave the text on screen for longer? You know, what I want you to do is sort of challenge yourself to now you're learning something that you didn't necessarily think of because now you're the video creator. You're getting a new knowledge to understand what it is.